has been the who question has, in this situation and in other aspects of inquiry, which was why I'm so glad you were talking about inquiry just now. I think it's become a kind of rote question.
Yeah.
Like, I've been on this path for so many years, which centers around the question of who am I, that sometimes I think the question has lost its sense of freshness and immediacy.
It easily does. So, like I've said, any question has to really be meaningful to us. You know? And nowadays, when you can just pop on your computer and go look up, 1,000 people's different answer to the question, who am I? What it does is it ruins it, actually. Because as soon as your mind has an answer, it stops really looking, or it tries to duplicate somebody's answer in your experience. The challenge of it, especially in today's world, is to stick just with your question and not be trying to realize someone else's answer. Because if you're trying to realize someone else's answer, and it happens very subtly, doesn't it? If we're trying to do that, after a while, it's going to lose vitality. It's going to lose meaning, because if we're really looking for the who, it's extraordinary, actually. It's very extraordinary that when you start to look for who's disturbed or who's meditating or whatever, however you talk about it, it's extraordinary that the more deeply you look for this who, the less you find. And then you look more closely, and the less you find, and the more closely, and the less you find. And the fact that you find less and less and less and less is itself kind of extraordinary. It's kind of amazing. You keep coming up with nobody. But you see, you just have to kind of keep, if that's the route you're going to go, you just kind of have to keep with it and suspend all the answers that you've heard before. You just realize, like, I'm not here on this earth to chase other people's answers to these questions. On what basis do I know that they came up with the right answers? So it all has to be sort of fresh and new, and it is a challenge to keep it that way in a world where we're just barraged with information, right? Spiritual information as on top of it.
I think it's less that I start reading books to find other people's answers, so I won't say that I've never ever done that, but it's more that when I've asked the question in inquiry, in meditation for so many years, it feels like, haven't I been down this route of not finding anybody before? And, well, here I am back again asking the same question now about my neighbor's voice.
Right. But remember, it's not just about finding that there's nobody there. The finding that there's nobody there is not the answer to the question. It's not the resolution. People say it is, but that's not what it is at all. That doesn't tell you a thing about who you are. It just means you can't find yourself in a particular way. But still, the question's there. Still, you are here, I am here, we are here, whatever we are. Even if we can't find ourselves as something discrete, even if we can't find ourselves as something separate, that doesn't mean that we've actually penetrated into that mystery. That doesn't mean that we've actually found the affirmative, which is, yes, this is what I am.
I never got that after all of these years of doing this meditation and doing inquiry and listening to various recordings, including guided meditations of yours. I guess I kind of thought once you realize that nobody's there and you come in touch with that nobodiness and nothingness, well then, what else is there?
Yeah, that's just the doorway. Once you've gotten there, the reason it feels like, well, where else is there to go, is because at that point you finally are starting to go beyond the boundary of the mind. Because when the mind goes beyond that boundary, what it knows is it doesn't know. It doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know what you are. It doesn't know where you are. It doesn't know what you are. It is a sign that you've gone to a certain depth, which is, speaking in one sense, very positive. But it's just like that's the doorway. Not knowing is the doorway. But nonetheless, here we are. Whatever you are, here you are. And the answer to who am I isn't simply there's nobody here. That's part of what we see along the way. But that doesn't tell us. Because still, even if we say there's nobody here, it's not the full truth, because something's there. Even if you call it nothing, but it's a very different nothing than when you just simply conclude, well, there's nobody here. That's like a box with nothing in it kind of emptiness.
Because I kind of get, glimmers of that. But then I find myself walking through that same inquiry again. It's like that movie Groundhog Day,
That's
where
how
you
it
wake
goes.
up the next morning and you find yourself doing the same thing.
Yes, that's right. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Until you just exhaust it all. Or, but again, you have to be interested in the question, Bhatya. If you're really not interested in the question, then just drop it. Because then you're just trying to kind of utilize something that only works if you're really interested in it. You'd be much better off just being in the stillness, just being in the quiet. And if a question comes up that has great vitality, great, then ask it. But we shouldn't be asking questions simply because this is the question I need to ask in order to have this breakthrough. We have to ask this question because this is a really vital, meaningful question to me. This is a question I cannot not ask. And if you don't have that question at any point in time, you don't worry about it. Just be quiet. Just be still. Trust that. There's no law that says you have to have a powerful spiritual question. It doesn't always operate that way either. Okay.
Wow, this is really helpful. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad you called. It's nice to talk with you.
Great talking.